Hi everyone, I'm Heather. Welcome to Strings and Threads, streaming to you from my dungeon of dreams. Join me in the magical world of crochet, knitting, and all things yarn. If you're a fellow yarn enthusiast, hit that subscribe button and become part of our creative journey. Let's dive into today's project. Welcome to the video tutorial for the Icord shawl, which is made for one of my friends. And I wanted to show you how it turns out. It is a beautiful triangle shawl. And when you see the stitch, you will be in love. This is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Tunisian crochet stitch. And I will show you how to do it. Don't be scared because it's Tunisian crocheted. Just follow right along. And if you have any questions, feel free to get in touch with me. My email is in the description, or you can leave a message in the comments. All right, materials you'll need for the Icord shawl are two contrasting colors. How much of each you need is going to depend on how big you want to make the shawl. If you're making it just as a bandana, you won't need as much. If you want to make a full huge shawl, you might need more. I'm putting this to the side. I have more of these. These are the Tweed Dream from Hobby, and each of these is, you can see right here how much it is. And right now I'm putting to the side 3, and then I used one, but if I need more, I do have more. And the other color I'm going to use is white. I'm going to use this Crafter's Secret, and this is just one of the big, huge ones. And it tells you here how much that is. But I have more white too in case I need more. You can use any thickness yarn that you would like. Just use the crochet hook that would go with that size. I thought it would be kind of cool to do it in thin yarn, so I started it with this Big Twist Vista, and which is a fingering weight yarn, and I did not like it as much with the thinner yarn. So you can see here, it's going to take forever for this to grow. I might just turn this into a bandana. And the stitches are so small, I don't think you get the full effect of what you're looking for with this stitch. So I'm not going to continue. I'm not going to show with this weight yarn. I probably will finish this and make it into something. But I personally would not recommend thinner yarn for this. The hook that I'm going to use a bigger hook because I think, whoops, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry that is wobbling. Because I think that will help a lot. This is a K or a 10.5 millimeter. Or no, 10.5, K 10.5. 6.5 millimeter. I'm sorry, my eyesight isn't what it used to be. But I think it's going to look nicer with the bigger hook. You'll also need scissors. I have a stitch marker, which will be optional. You don't necessarily need that if you're doing this project. And no, I really don't think you will, because when you put the stitches on the hook, since this is Tunisian crocheted, they usually just stay there. So it's up to you. I'll put that as an option. And then to weave in ends, you'll need some sort of yarn or darning needle. I forgot to mention that you will, if you're making a big shawl, you will probably need to have a Tunisian crochet hook and maybe even put an attachment on it so that the stitches will have room. In the beginning, it's not going to matter because we just start with a few stitches, but then as it grows, you'll probably need more space. So I'm going to be using the Tunisian crochet hook with the extender on it. I'm going to start with the white, and I'm going to actually start with an I-cord. I'll show you how I do it, but if you want to do it with any technique that you know, you can go ahead and do that. Or you can also chain and just go from the chain. I think it gives it a smoother edge if we start with the I-cord, so it's up to you. You can either chain the same number of stitches for the I-cord that I'm doing, or you can do the I-cord. So if you're doing the I-cord, you're going to need a little bit of a tail. Since we're only starting with 6 stitches, you're not going to need a huge tail, and you're just going to start like with a slip knot, just like you would for if you were chaining. Sorry. Okay, and then I'm going to put my crochet hook through. The side that has the tail is going to be going to the left. The side that's attached to the yarn will go to the right. So you take the tail and you move it to the left, but it has to be on top of your initial ring. And then you take the yarn that's attached to the yarn and move it to the right, which is basically just yarning over. And then you're going to pull that through the 2 stitches that you have here. So that's 1. And then you're going to yarn the tail over to the right, and then this would be considered a yarn over, but move the yarn from the yarn that's attached to the whole yarn, draw it through the 2 loops. That's 2. I'm going to move a little faster now. Tail, connector. I'm just going to call that connector because I have no idea what to call it. That's just something I made up. That's 3. Tail, connector, 4, tail, connector. Oops. I'm just going to pick up the stitches that I lost. Tail, connector, yarn over. I believe this is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, 1 more. Tail, connector, 6. And there's our first, there's our I-cord. All right, this is just going to be the beginning forward pass. We're not going to use our second color yet. We're going to do 1 forward pass and then 1 return pass, and then we will change color. So we're just going to go into the stitch, or if you have a chain, you just go into the chain. So I noticed that these crochet these crochet hooks for the Tunisian crochet seem to be a little bit slipperier to me. Okay, so 2, we have 2 loops, that's why I said 2. You go in, and you're just going to draw up a loop. I moved a little fast on that first stitch, I'm sorry. And you're just going to keep the loop on your hook. So we have 3, go into the next stitch. I think I did my I-cord a little tight. There we go. And just draw up a loop. Go into the next, draw up a loop, and then go up to the last and draw up a loop. I believe we should have 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, 6 loops on there. Here's how we look so far. Okay, this is the first return pass. We're not going to add another color yet. You're just going to yarn over and then draw through 1. Now you're going to yarn over, and for the rest of the row, we're going to go through 2. Yarn over, 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 go through 2. Okay, now for the color change. We're going to take your next color and make a little loop with it and leave a little bit of a tail because you want to make sure that it's not going to come undone. We're going to weave this tail in later, but for now we're just going to go through your loop that you have there and pull the first color tight. And you're going to kind of hold on to these 2 for a little bit. And we're going to add an increase every row here. So if you're already familiar with Tunisian crochet, you'll see it. If this is new, that's totally fine. I'm going to talk you through everything. We're also going to repeat this the same way as we're increasing. So I'm going to just show this once, but it will be time-stamped in my description. So if you need to go back and see it again, you can. You'll just have more stitches the next time we go through it, but you're going to do it the same exact way. So these are called bars. These up and down things that have a front and a back, and then there's a hole in the middle. We're going to go in between this bar that's closest to your hook and then the first bar. We're going to go in between there and just pull up a loop. Now we're going to go through the bar. You can see this first bar, how there's a front and a back part. We're going to go through the middle of that one and then go through the middle of the second one. We're going to yarn over, and you're only going to pull up a loop through the first one, but you're going to keep the white or the first color on your hook. And now we have the last two bars here. We're going to do the same thing, go through the middle of both bars, yarn over, and then pull up a loop with just the new color and keep this loop. You can see it's just stretched a little bit. And then when we get to the edge, we're just going to keep this as a nice edge. You're going to go through, kind of as if you were going to do a single crochet, if you're familiar with that, yarn over, but you're just going to draw up a loop. So here's how it looks. You should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Here's how we increase. We got one more. So 7 loops. Here's the return pass with the new color. You're just going to yarn over and then go through 1. From here out, we're going to yarn over and go through 2. Yarn over, 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 go through the last 2. Oops, I just got stuck. That's all. So here's how that looks. Okay, so now we're going back to the original color. It should still be here. We didn't unattach it. So we're just going to go to the original color and pull it through, and then pull the second color tight here. And what we're going to do, there's a bar here and a bar here. We're going to go in between the two bars. This is going to give us our extra stitch, and draw up a loop. So this should look familiar. We're going to go in between the first loop and in between the second bar. I mean, I said loop, but I mean bar. So in the middle of the first bar, in the middle of the second bar, yarn over and draw through just 1, leaving the second color on the hook. This is, you'll know you're doing it right if the colors match up. You're going to want to go through 2 bars. So you go through the first bar and then the second bar, but you can see that second bar is white, and I'm going to draw up a loop on the white only and then just leave that second color on the hook. Okay, and then here on our odd rows, we're just going to, this will be every other color. We're just going to go through the 1, and then when we get to the last stitch, we do as a single crochet, except you just draw up a loop. So here's how that looks. Okay, here's the return pass. It's going to look just like all of our other return passes. You yarn over and go through 1, yarn over, go through 2, 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 yarn over, go through 2. You're going to see it growing on this end. It's going to eventually come to a point. So what we're going to do now is you just follow those repeats. We'll do the same thing that we did with the second color row that we did before. So if you need to see it again, you can go back to that in my description. And then for the first color, we just do the same thing that we did here. We keep repeating that until it's as big as we want. And then I'll come back and talk about the decrease. All right, we're ready for decreasing, at least I am. I measured from, this here is the long end that's gonna end up being the point at the bottom of the shawl. So from here all the way, I measured it flat. I don't have room to show you flat on the video from here to the end. Mine measured 30 inches or 76.5 centimeters. So again, you can make it the size you want. If you want to make it bigger, feel free to keep going until you have it the size that you want. If you want to make it smaller or turn it into a bandana or something that is smaller, feel free not to make it as wide or as wide. But look at the pattern. Doesn't it make the most amazing little pattern? I love how this looks. Okay, so this will be our first decrease. And what you're going to do is start on a forward pass. So if you're all the way up here, come down to the bottom so that you're starting on a forward pass as well. And it really doesn't matter which color that you have down here. I'll just say, you know, the first color that you're working with and then the second color. So here I ended on this pink one, so I'm going to get the white and make sure I have the white ready. This is a little blurry. There we go. Got it. So now we were going into this first space. That was where the increase was. But if we start here, it's not really much of a decrease. So we are going to actually, this color should be the opposite color. This should be the same color you have on your hook. We're going to go into that third one here. And we're going to continue the pattern we were doing. So you're going to go through the middle of the first one and the second one that we're working in. It's not the first and second one on here. And you're going to yarn over and just pull through. In my case, it's white. For you, it will be whatever color you're working with here. And then we continue that pattern all the way up where you go through the middle of the next two posts, yarn over, and just go through. You're going to catch the other color, but you're going to go through on the color that you're working with. And we'll take that all the way up to the top. Now, right now, mine is really long, so this would take a long time if I was going to show you the whole row. But that's the last one I'm going to show you. Continue that same thing that I was just doing all the way up, and you're going to do the top part exactly the same that you always have. When you get to this one, it's going to be the other color here. And then when you get to the edge, you're going to go through like you were doing a single crochet in regular crochet and then pull through there. So meet me when you're completed your first forward pass here of the decrease row. All right, I came all the way up just like I normally do. This wasn't a change. The only change was where we put our stitches in the beginning. And the return pass here is going to be exactly the same that we've always done it. You're not going to change up anything for that. You're going to chain one or just go through one, and then you're going to yarn over and go through two all the way down. Yarn over, go through two. I'll do one more with you, and then I'll yarn over, go through two. And then I'll come back when I'm towards the end so that you can see the ending, but there's not much of a difference at the ending. Yarn over, go through two. Or there's not any difference in the end. I'm sorry, not much, but there is no difference at the end. All right, we'll come back when we're near the end of the row. All right, I'm almost at the end here, so let's see how that works. Yarn over, go through two, yarn over, go through two, yarn over, go through two, yarn over, go through two. And then switch color. Just trying to not to get my colors tangled up, so switch there. Now you're going to look, we're not going to go into this first post, But if you look, the second and the third posts here will have our pattern, our color pattern match up, because you want to go, your first stitch wants to be the opposite color that you're using, and then you go into the second post and you draw a loop up just there, and you're just pulling the white loop up. Okay, and then we're just going to continue all the way across, just like that. So here in this case, we only left the first one. But you want to make sure you're matching your colors up, because it will look funny if you have them matched up here and then not matched up the other section. And you know, you can do this in a way where you're not matching the colors if that's how you would prefer to make your pattern. But I'm just keeping it consistent for the way that we started this one. So, whoops, I went through two by mistake. Continue all the way up, and then we'll come back and I'll just talk about the return pass with this color, and then we'll just continue this same pattern. You can see how we have the point now. Continue this same pattern until we get down to the last 5 stitches like we have here, so both ends match. All right, well, let's go across and then we'll come back. Okay, we're almost to the end of it here, so the last stitch on this color change, we don't have the correct color. The last stitch is every other one. If you can see, it's pink, white. All the other ones match up. All whites here, all pinks here. But the last one is just not going to ever be a match. And then we go into the side, just like we were doing a single crochet. Our return pass is actually just going to be exactly the same as we always do it, nothing different. So you chain 1 or just go through 1, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2, all the way to the end. So let's come back when we're at the end. All right, I'm down to the last 2 stitches, so I go through the last 2 and change color. Oh, sorry. Okay, so now we're going to check out the colors. In the row where I have my whites, I'm going to go into the third, or into the second here again. Okay, because if I go into the first, I'm not decreasing, but I'm also not going to line up my colors. I would end up with a white over here with the pink. So I have to skip the first one, go into the second and third. And then we just repeat this process until we get down to the last 5 stitches. So keep going with this. If you need to, I have all the chapters in my description. If you need to go back and look at anything, you can just get right to it by using the chapters. All right, I'll see you when we're down to our last 5 stitches. All right, this is so big, there's no way I can show you on here the whole thing, but I've gone down to the last 5 stitches. And if you already did the return pass, that's great, because that's where we're going to start back up again. So I'm going to pull through 1, 2, 2, 2, 2. So to finish it, we're just going to go through each of these individually. And it doesn't matter what color you have or what color you're using. This just happened to be where mine ended on 5 stitches. So we're going to, you always skip that first bar right here, but we're going to go in and do, this is called a simple stitch, where you go in between, in the middle of the first bar, and you're going to pull up and pull through. We're going to do the same thing with the next one. Go in between that bar, come up, and come up again. And we'll do that here. Pull up, pull through, and then you're going to have your second color somewhere around here. You can go ahead, I'm going to do this later, but you can go ahead and cut that and weave in the ends. Don't finish this yet. I'm going to switch hooks only because I know that this string is going to annoy me for the next part, and I don't need it for the next part. You can feel free to keep the same hook, or if you wanted to take the string off of your hook, whatever works best for you. But I'm just going to use a regular crochet hook, which is 6.5 millimeter, which is what I was working with on my other one. This was a 6.5 millimeter too, as well, not two as well. All right, well, I can't find it yet, but I know I showed you that earlier. So the top, if you notice, is kind of like really loosey-goosey. So we're going to do a single crochet. Now right here, we're in the beginning chain here. So we're going to do an attachment, chain one, a single crochet into the first stitch, and then we're going to single crochet the next two together. And so what you do is you pull a loop through and then just immediately go into the next stitch, pull a loop through, and you have 3 stitches on here. You'll yarn over and go through all 3. You're going to do just one single crochet. And I'm sorry, if you're a Tunisian crocheter and you're not familiar, I would assume you would know these stitches, but if you weren't familiar with them, a single crochet is just where you go into the stitch, pull up a loop, and then yarn over and go through both loops. And then the single crocheting 2 together would be doing a single crochet in here, doing a single crochet into the next stitch, drawing up a loop, and then yarning over and go through all 3. Okay, so if I did this across the whole top on camera, it would take a really long time. So let's finish this row. When you get to the end, you're just going to, finish with a tail and then weave in the tail. And then your whole thing should be done. So we'll show it off in the next clip.